Hello and welcome to Miss Charlotte Astrology. My name is Charlotte. I'm a full-time working astrologer, and on this channel I analyse the astrological charts of public figures, and very often they are celebrities. That certainly will be the case today, as I'll be examining the synastry chart of two of the most iconic TV stars of the late 90s and the early 2000s. I'm talking about our queens, Sarah Jessica Parker and Kim Cattrall, the stars of Sex and the City, Carrie Bradshaw, Samantha Jones. Oh, the love, like this whole thing hurts. You know why? Because in the show, their chemistry is fantastic. Like, you really do believe that these two love each other and get along and they are each other's soulmates, and that's even like, do you remember when Charlotte in the episode, she's like, maybe we can be each other's soulmates, and you're like, yes. Like, it's so good, it's so beautiful, like, it's such a great, I know it's a bit irky, it's a bit cringe, as the young people say today, but it is a genuinely clever, smart, funny show. It's imperfect, it's a product of its time, but still ahead of its time. And the reason why this show did so well is because they have such a fantastic ensemble cast. And the heart of this show is Carrie and Samantha. Like, we all love all four of them. They all have their thing, but like, it's definitely like, it's Carrie. Carrie is like the narrator. She's the anti-hero. She's the protagonist anti-hero of the story. It's all from her perspective. She's the mind of the show. Whereas Kim Cattrall, who plays Samantha, she is the sex in that city. So what I want to do today is have a look at their chemistry. I'm going to do the best I can because I don't have their birth times, which would have been incredibly helpful. Like, you don't really have a full chart until you have the birth times. But I will do my best. I'm pretty well versed on Sex and the City lore. I've watched a bunch of interviews with the cast and the crew, and Sarah and Kim, and also Darren Star, who was an executive producer. So I needed to understand the dynamics of what was happening behind the scenes, and now it's very, very clear what was happening. So that knowledge, the research that I've done, will allow me to illustrate the analysis that I will make, when I'm trying to understand their planetary aspects and things like that. I know it's frustrating we don't have houses, but we'll make do, okay? All right, before I dive in, I just want you guys to know I am going to go on a sabbatical in August. I will be traveling with my assistant and one of my closest friends in the world, Sarah. So this is July. Right now, as I'm filming this, it's July 12th. So as soon as you see this and you are thinking about, or you want to get a reading from me, my 60 minutes are done. I'm not going to be doing private one-on-one readings for a very, very long time. I'm exhausted. It's been 4.5 years of that, but I do have the sale continuing for my 20-minute MP3 recorded readings. Basically, you click the link below. It takes you to my calendar. You book out a half an hour time slot where I will complete the reading, and then it will be sent to you within 24 to say 72 hours of the time for that time that you've booked. So if you would like a reading from me, you want a recording of my voice for 20 minutes, just tearing up your chart and calling out your shit, if that's what you want, let me know. Book below. It's all there, and I really appreciate it. Guys, I just want you to know, my student loan is down to 3 figures because of you. Thank you. We did this in a year. You did this for me. Like, so I really, really appreciate it. And I'm going on travel. I'm going on a little travel adventure to recover, and also as a reward to myself, because I am kind of, at the moment, I'm suffering. Like, my health is not great. I'm all right, but I've not been well. That's why there's been such a long gap in between the last video and this one that I'm posting. Like, I've been very, very busy and very, very tired. So I do appreciate the love and the support, and obviously the financial support that you guys give me. But yeah, the sale continues on until the rest of July. I think there's 2 weekends left where you can book your slot. But after that, I'm restructuring the business, and I'll be doing YouTube members and yeah, just restructuring around the YouTube thing. Okay, because I want to turn this channel into something. All right, let's have a look at Sarah Jessica Parker and Kim Cattrall. So this is the synastry chart Kim is the outer circle. She's the red planets. Sarah is the inner circle. She's the blue planets. As you can see, Sarah Jessica is a hella Aries. She's got a lot of Aries. She's got a Sun. She's got a Venus. She's got a Mercury all in Aries. And then she's got a Capricorn moon and a Mars in Virgo. So you can see she loves business. You know she loves structure. You know that she's the first one to come onto the set and she's going to be the last one to leave. She is a pioneer. She's a go-getter. Right? And control freak, whatever. Aries and give a fuck. We got something to achieve. Get out of our way. Like, that's the energy. I think she could also be incredibly fair. I think she's incredibly hardworking. But I do think her blind spot, because she has no water in her chart, is that she can sometimes lack empathy for people. It doesn't mean that she doesn't have compassion. It doesn't mean that she doesn't try. But I think she could, as great as a businesswoman that she is, I think she can be a little bit emotionally stupid. Because she's intelligent in so many other things, I think that she can sometimes lack empathy or understanding. That doesn't mean she's some kind of psychopath, evil person. I just think there's some kind of blockage there, which, she could work on. Okay, so that's my take on that. She's got a lot of fire, a lot of earth, but she doesn't have a lot of water. She doesn't have any water. She's only got some generational placements in water. And she doesn't have any air placements. If you look at the outer circle, you'll see Kim's placements. She's got a sun in Leo and a moon in Aquarius. And then she's got a Mars in Pisces and a Mercury in Virgo. And she's got a Venus in Cancer. So she's got earth, fire, water, and air. So she's actually got all the elements pretty evenly spread, but they are in polar opposite. She's got a Mars, Mercury. It's not a tight opposition, but it's an opposition. And then she's got a Sun, Moon opposition. Not a tight opposition at all, but they are in set. Like, she was born just after a full moon. So, yeah, she herself is a pretty intense, chaotic person, but because she's got a balance of elements, I think she is incredibly perceptive, and I think she's so perceptive and so sensitive to her own detriment. I think she speaks her mind and she speaks her feelings, and that's probably what's gotten her into a little bit of trouble and probably perpetuated the conflict. So I just want to go through the chart, because I'm not on anyone's side here, because I know Sarah Jessica Parker gets a lot of flack and people are saying she's this horrible, evil person, that she bullied Kim and all of this stuff. That's not necessarily the case, based on what I'm seeing here, and also what I've read, and what I've listened to, because I've listened to an interview with Darren Star. There's more to this, and it's not just Sarah Jessica being a biatch. It's Kim. It's Kim also. It takes two to tango. Okay, so let's go through. I've cut them up into sections. So let's talk about this. So let's talk about the sexual exploitation of Kim Cattrall. The reason why the character Samantha exists is because, well, I think they wrote Samantha the character, but then they had to change it up a little bit, because when they hired Sarah Jessica to play Carrie, it was stipulated in her contract that she would not do any gratuitous sex scenes or nudity, okay? And you know what? If you're an actor and you don't want to do it, that's fine. That's within her right to do. But the show is called Sex and the City, so someone was going to have to bear the burden of doing those sex scenes, of doing those very challenging, exploitative scenes. And you know who was up for it and who was willing to do it? Kim Cattrall, because she's already played the sex pot in movies. She already had done lots of sex scenes. And can we keep in mind that Kim Cattrall was doing very insane, gratuitous sex scenes without an intimacy coordinator. Now it's standard in the industry to have that. Kim Cattrall didn't have that support. She was out there, titties out and everything, straddling strangers for money. Mars and Pisces, the hooker Mars, the Mars that can be sexually exploited. And you know what? She did definitely sign a contract and she consented to this. That doesn't mean that it didn't turn exploitative. And it did. It did. And that's from what I believe and what I understand, this seems to be the foundations of the feud. And the reason why Kim Cattrall was angry wasn't necessarily because she had to do all these sex scenes. It's because she felt that she was not being financially compensated in a way that reflected the hard work she was doing and the popularity that she was garnering. Okay, so she was at one point, I think probably through the entire series, she was the most popular character on the show. But she felt her pay packet didn't reflect that. So Mars in Pisces and its retrograde could be someone who is easily exploited, but this is also someone who makes art for art's sake. Like, I want to get something straight with Kim. She's an artiste. She is a creative. She's got that Marilyn energy, and she's got that Aquarius moon, Mars and Pisces. I just want to be wonderful energy. That's all she wants. And yes, she wanted money. She wanted fair pay. Yes. But she's not a businesswoman in the same way that very earth and fire heavy Carrie Sarah Jessica is. Sarah Jessica is, while she is a very artistic, creative person, of course she is, she's much more of a business mind and very business oriented. Kim is not that way. She's emotional. She's watery. So this Mars here sits on Sarah Jessica's Chiron. So basically what you have here is someone, Mars in Pisces, who is being exploited for the sake of the show. She's being put in compromising positions, literally. And she's not what she feels. She feels that she's not being financially compensated for that. So as a result, she gets angry. Mars represents sex and anger. And this Mars is stabbing Sarah Jessica in the Chiron, in the wound, like, okay. And then Saturn is also here. Saturn represents work and discipline, structure, business. And Mars over here is just being chaotic and causing destruction and ruining Sarah Jessica's fantastic reputation as being a professional, because Sarah Jessica Parker is a professional. Like I said earlier, and this has been, I'm quoting someone who was on the show. I think it might have been, who played Smith Jared, or maybe it's Darren Star, one of those men. They said that Sarah Jessica was the first one to arrive on set, say like 4 a.m., and she was the last one to leave at like midnight or whatever. She was the one that did that because she was an executive producer and she was professional. She gave everyone a hug at the end of the night. There's no one is saying really anything bad about Sarah Jessica Parker except for Kim Cattrall, which is really interesting. So that's something that you guys should question. I'm not saying that Kim Cattrall has no right to feel the way she feels, but she acting up. And that Mars, that angry little Pisces Mars who's resentful, is taking shots at Sarah Jessica's reputation and her business, essentially. I don't know what house this is in. It would tell me a lot more about where this is playing out. I can only use the planets and what they symbolize, so hopefully I've done that effectively. But yeah, Mars is anger and sex. Saturn is restriction and business and reputation, and those things are coming to a head here. I could also interpret this as with Saturn, Sarah Jessica's Saturn being in such close proximity to Kim's Mars, is that Kim is being oppressed or repressed, or she's being controlled. There's like, if Kim wants to do something, who's got the authority to say no? Sarah Jessica, because Saturn is authority. So there we go. That's a difficult conjunction, because sometimes conjunctions are really peaceful, but when it comes to malefics, it can go left real quick. Yeah. So let's move down. Let's talk about the marriage of colleagues. So this relationship, the anger between them, or the resentment specifically on Kim Cattrall's side, had built up for quite a while, and it came to a head, I think, around season 3 to season 4. That's when things started to change, because there was a dispute about money, contracts, and things like that. I think this carried on for a few years, and even through the movies, like, it took some time for Kim Cattrall to sign on to those movies. And ultimately she did, because even she realized that this was a very successful creative marriage. You've got Sarah Jessica Parker, who is the brains of the business. She's the business woman. She's the one that has she's the one that was essential in the creation of the show. But Kim was the sex. Kim was the spice. Kim was the flavor. Kim was the heart, and these two needed each other to get this project working, to make this successful. They're both equally needed. This was a marriage of business for sure, but it was not easy for them to have to deal with each other. Their moons are not far apart. Sarah Jessica is a Capricorn moon, which is, someone who is, yes, sensitive, but not necessarily overtly emotional, and really enjoys structure and things like that. But Kim is an Aquarius moon, which is much more chaotic. And even though they are in sister signs, they are also very, very different. They're both Saturnian energies as well. But one is about structure and one is about, the art and the creativity. So yeah, they're motivated by very, very different things. So, and you know what? They both have that Lilith in Capricorn. And when you have Lilith in a close conjunction with the moon, there could be trouble with female relationships. Sarah Jessica gives me the vibe that she's a girl's girl. I do think she is. She obviously has a very close relationship with, the other two actresses, the ones that play Charlotte and Miranda. But she also is she could be a cold, hard professional, and she could also be a bit of a girl's boy. Boy's girl. Anyway, a Capricorn moon isn't necessarily going to be the best moon to, it's not going to have the best bedside manner. She doesn't have that. I think Kim needed someone who was softer and someone who could be more compassionate and supportive. And that's just not Sarah. I don't think Sarah's out here being vindictive or mean. I think she just wants to run a business and make the money, and Kim's doing it because she wants to make art, and she wants to be like Marilyn, like wonderful. I just want to be wonderful. So yeah, just very different. They're just motivated by different things, but their marriage, man, the Junos are here. The Juno represents literally the contract. It's the most unromantic part of the marriage, but it's the thing that's going to get you to commit, right? And they're in close proximity. They're on each other's moons. Like, they need each other. So let's talk about the swapping of the baton. So why I'm a big fan of having intergenerational friendships is if you have like a 9 or 10 year age difference, you have opposite north nodes, which is great because then you've got opposite south nodes. So where one person is going is where the other person has already been, and they can teach each other how to get there. So with this, you can see that Kim Cattrall has her north node of destiny. I know a lot of astrologers don't like me using the word destiny to describe the north node, but can we just just simplify it for people and not be intellectual narcissists? Just say it's destiny. It's the energy that you have to master. It's where you got to go. Okay. It's the path. It's a path you got to follow. Kim's north node is in Sagittarius, which is travel. It's international. It's expansion. It's getting bigger. In the years that the show finished, Kim Cattrall's star, there's a reason why she is the most iconic character on that show. It just expands beyond. It's going to expand beyond her own life. Like when Kim Cattrall has left this earth, she will be up there. She will be like, this is just her fame will just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay. That's the nature of Sagittarius. I do think she also moved overseas. I don't think she lives in the United States anymore. Does she live in Britain? The North Node in Sagittarius is a life of adventure and spiritual and intellectual expansion. And that's what she has done post Sex and the City TV show. That's what she has done. She's done lots of theatre and she's traveled a lot, and she lives overseas away from... Does she live... She's Canadian, isn't she? But does she even live in Canada? I'm pretty sure... Or is she British? I'm so sure she lived in the UK at some point. But anyway, she's just moved beyond the TV show. Because her South Node in Gemini is very small world. It's very... It's like just repetitive work. It is because, yeah, her south node is in Gemini, which is a small world. And the north node in Sagittarius is something beyond that, right? And that's what she's done. It is very close to Saturn. So even if her career kind of took a slump after the TV show, she has cemented her legacy. She's fine. I think she can do small town plays for the rest of her life, and no one's going to think less of her for it. She can do what she wants. She needs freedom. North node in Sagittarius is freedom too. Now, let's go to the other one. Sarah Jessica has her North node in Gemini. So, her career has not stopped. She is she was a movie star though. I think she started out, I've seen quite a few of her movies. She's done a lot. I'm thinking of all the movies that I've seen her in. My favorite is the witch one, Hocus Pocus. Fantastic. Or the First Wives Club. Fantastic. Both with Bette Midler, by the way. Those two should get together again. I hope they make a Hocus Pocus 3. That would be great. I think they are. But her North Node, Sarah Jessica's North Node, is in Gemini, which is much more, it is that smaller world. She's coming from the Sagittarian energy, which is, you know, she was like a big movie star. Well, she was the biggest movie star, but she was a movie star. And she was someone that started out moving around a lot. Like she literally traveled long distances in the very early part of her life, which does speak to her south node in Sagittarius. But as she got older, she became more settled. I think she might still live in New York, actually. I think might be where she's based, but she's much more centralized, much more localized. She's much more into production. She's not a movie star anymore. She's out of that Sagittarius south node, and now she's like behind the scenes producing things. So that speaks more to that North node in Gemini, and it's not so far away from Jupiter, which is expansion. So even though her North node is in the smaller sign, Gemini, because Gemini and Sagittarius, they're both intellectual energies. One is big, one is small. Doesn't mean they're not equal, okay? It doesn't mean that one's better than the other. But she's just more centralized. And she's more successful doing that. Like, she's getting royalties. She doesn't have to work. And she still does. But yeah, her life is just much more like low key now. So that makes a lot of sense. But these two coming across each other, they were meant to like basically cross paths, to swap batons and go and leave each other's life. That happens a lot. I have some friends, I've had quite a few friends that have been 10 years older or 10 years younger than me, and while I'm still friends with a lot of them, very often it's just a moment in time. It's a passing. That TV show was them showing each other where they have to go. So yeah, Kim is living a life that, it's not exactly the same, but Kim is living a life that is very similar to the life that Sarah Jessica led, you know, traveling around the world and doing plays and things like that. And now Sarah Jessica she's doing smaller roles. She's not as prominent anymore, but she's very much behind the scenes working on different projects, which is very Gemini. So there we go. Now, I've been very, very sympathetic towards Kim Cattrall, and I understand where she's coming from, because she was the Sex in the City, and she was carrying that show, doing all these crazy sex scenes and basically being exploited. So I understand it from that perspective, but just keep in mind that when she started that show, she was 40, 41, 42, something like that, and her career was fading. And she, I think, just had married a dude, and she was kind of winding down. Like, she didn't even want to take the role of Samantha in Sex in the City. She didn't even want the role. But she came into it, and now it's her claim to fame. She became a massive star, an iconic star from that show. This was the role that cemented her as a bona fide star. But the only way she could do that is while being under the thumb of an executive producer. It was the only way she could become this massive star was by following the rules, That's why I've called this slide When the Lion Becomes a Sheep, because she is a Leo. She's a Leo lion. She's brave. She's boisterous. She like goes the distance for her art, for her craft. But in the end, she's still a follower. She's still an employee. You know, and whether she liked it or not, Sarah Jessica was the executive fucking producer from like day one. And she didn't like that because she's a Leo, and Leos do not like being under the thumb of other people, especially other people that might not be as beautiful or as experienced or as, you know, whatever. Like they don't like that. Leos do, and I respect Leos. I'm an Aries. I completely understand where she's coming from, but they don't like to be dominated. They also don't like the idea of someone getting paid more for doing what they believe is less than what they're doing. They don't like the idea that someone who is, you know, maybe not as beautiful as them being the center of attention, if we're going to go into the dark side of Leo. Because I'm sure there are lots of Leos out there that don't think that way and they want everyone to win. Okay, I get that. But if we're going to be in the dark side of Leo, she's got Pluto here. So I think she really wanted to be a star. She really wanted to be a movie star. And she never really got there. And the moment she felt the ray of sunshine on her face and she finally got she finally got the thing she's worked her whole life to, she's worked her whole life to get there. And all of a sudden, she's not the boss of her own career, really. So that's got to suck. Also, Sarah Jessica has her Mars, Pluto, and Uranus in a conjunction, and I think she could be mean. I believe that. I think she can be mean. I don't think she's a nasty, horrible, sociopathic person like everybody wants to believe, but I think she could have a temper on her. Her Mars is also retrograde in the opposite sign. Again, she's motivated by money and structure and doing things properly and doing things well. And if they're not done well, if they're not done properly, if someone's arriving late to set, if someone's not pulling their weight, if someone's not following their contract, like if you're an employee and you agree to this, do your fucking job. I could see her being kind of bitchy, yeah, especially with that nasty conjunction, because Mars and Pisces people born in the mid-60s, they got that Mars in Virgo people born in the mid-60s, they got that conjunction with Pluto and Uranus, and it's a biatch. It could be very nasty and very critical. So I could see that. Keep in mind also that Jupiter, Kim Cattrall's Jupiter is sitting on this energy, which tells me that whatever idea or decision that Sarah Jessica makes, it is Kim Cattrall that can turn it into something appealing, turn it into something wonderful, turn it into money. Like Jupiter's expansive and happy and lucky and benefic. It's a lovely planet sitting on Sarah Jessica's what could be a pretty nasty stellium. I mean, very effective, can get things done. She has great ideas. A Mars, when you have Mars in a conjunction with generational planets, that could be someone who knows how to execute their vision. But Kim made it look good, which is a great collaborative energy. I think Kim also has a Mercury in Virgo, so she's also highly intelligent. And I imagine that if she had an idea, Sarah Jessica could make it happen. Generally, when you have a Mercury-Mars conjunction, I know it's not a tight conjunction, but a Mercury-Mars conjunction indicates that the Mercury person might have an idea and the Mars person can make it happen. It can go the other way as well. If Sarah wants to get something done, certainly Kim could follow through with that and add her own twist to it and make it better and make her contributions or her ideas just much more appealing. Or yeah, so it's a great conjunction. It could just it could go left real quick. All right, so we've come to the end of this. This is the overall chart. I'm just going to see if there's anything that I've missed. I don't think so. I mean, if I have their birth times, I'd be able to tell you a bit more, but we don't. So yeah, we have Sarah Jessica Parker, a businesswoman, very intelligent, very professional, very much like a structured person who's very ambitious with a fantastic vision. And then you have Kim Cattrall, who is a super sensitive, slightly egomaniacal person who wants to be a star and didn't get what she felt she deserved, despite having signing a contract and agreeing to doing all those things. I think she didn't realize what she was setting herself up for and how big this show would be. Yeah. I wish they could sort it out, and I wish they could collaborate again and make this TV show, because it would be so fantastic. But they make a great team. That's the thing. Even though there's all these like problems, they make a really great team. They can collaborate, share their ideas, and make things happen. They need to have a discussion, because this is hurting my heart. Anyway. All right, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And just remember, if you enjoy these readings and you want to support me, you can click the link below, book a little reading. And in the notes, by the way, tell me what you want to know. Like, be really specific if you can, because some people book these readings like they just write love, future, destiny. I'm like, give me some sauce. What's your problem? Like, anyway, thank you so much, guys. And yeah, I'll see you in the MP3s, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.